Hey guys, it's your boy, Jonesy. Welcome back to another video, and it's been a while guys. I've been quite busy, and I've just not really been enjoying this game as much, so there isn't much to talk about. I should have posted when the new season came out saying this was insane or whatever, but I didn't, because, I don't know, I had other things to do, like post about creative, work on Drifted Battle Royale, my Battle Royale map, a lot of things, but today's going to be a different video. It's more going to be a discussion about this community and how the comp community shouldn't be listened to. And then you might be saying, oh, it's another casual complaining about competitive. No, the difference with me is I've been through it all. I've literally been here from OG, Chapter 1, Season 3. I've seen the fall of the Chapter 2 map. I've seen the fall of the Chapter 3 map. I even saw Fortnite fall off a lot in Chapter 4. But I've also seen it rise back up in Chapter 5 and etc. Anyways, point is, I've seen it all. Including competitive. I tried going competitive, but I gave up on it for a few reasons, which I will explain in this video. But the point of this video is not to explain why I quit competitive. It's more so about why Epic shouldn't be listening to competitive. And this has been on my mind for so long now. But anyways, the first reason is the community is really immature. Now, you might be saying, what do you mean they're immature? Well, I'll give you an example. Say Epic, does a dumb nerf to an item that wasn't even overpowered in the first place, and competitive for some reason was complaining about it the entire time, even though there's multiple counters to that item. And you respond, I don't like that change. People in the Twitter comments will call you slurs. I've been called slurs. I've been called stupid. I've been called so many things. These people, I have receipts too. I'll put up some screenshots of some of the tweets, and these are all competitive people. They're all competitive people. And you don't see casuals and normal players who just want to play the game do this kind of stuff. Well, there are some few. I'm not going to stereotype entirety of competitive. I know there's some good competitive people who aren't, saying, you fucking suck because you don't like this gun, or you don't like this change to a gun. And the thing is, Twitter is turning into a place, especially Fortnite side of things, where you can't state your opinion on a change, or else people will take it personally, especially in competitive. This has been, wired into their brain by these streamers. A lot of them, you'll notice, a competitive player, what do they wear? They usually wear what their favorite streamer wears. That's why you can hop in a game, see multiple of the same skin, like Focus, used to be Aura. Aura isn't really popular. Superhero skins, and no, not a creative style, just a fully grade style. I've seen one Catwoman recently. I'm not gonna complain about what people want to wear, but it goes to show you the mentality of some of these people, because they'll just copy their favorite streamer and everything they say. They don't want to think for themselves, they want to just copy what the big guy's doing. But that's how celebrities work in everything, so I guess you can't really complain about that. But I think it's getting to the point where some of these people don't even know what they're saying. But it's not all their fault too, because there's some people, especially big streamers in our community, who aren't really nice, and they're pretty toxic, and these people are very influential in this community. Very, one of them has an icon skin, and their stans will copy them and act like them too. And, if you want to copy a streamer, go ahead, but you're not thinking for yourself. Like me, I think for myself. I take everything in, I form my own opinions on the game, okay? I don't just accept a change because your favorite streamer tells you, guys, this change is good, this change is shit, it should be removed. Because not everyone's gonna think that. And, you see, competitive, it gets to the point where there was a issue when, I think it was Chapter 5 released, and Epic changed the movement. And guess what happened? An employee got doxxed. And no, this wasn't a casual player who doxxed him. This was competitive. Casuals do not care if the movement gets changed. But I don't know who doxxed the employee, but it was most likely a competitive player, because casuals, like myself, do not care when the movement got changed. It was bad for a day, but I didn't really care after that. A lot of people really didn't care, and the only people who are really gonna yell and scream about it is competitive. Now, it just goes to show you their mindset. Now we're gonna go into some solutions I got for some of these competitive players. But before we do that, I'm gonna explain something very, very simple. It's a simple concept to learn. Actual OP items versus OP items that have counters. Now, what is an actual OP item? Think the Infinity Blade, the mechs, the cars from Wrecked. Now, these items were actually OP. Why? Because they had no counter to them. These were basically unstoppable. If someone had a turret on the car, you didn't, like, early Wrecked, man, it was over for you. Or the mechs. I remember when I played in Chapter 1, and there were 2 mechs up on a hill, and bro, they literally would destroy anybody, bro, when they were OP. And, you know, the Infinity Blade, that was bad. The Infinity Blade was bad. They even enabled it during a tournament. That shit was funny. Anyways, the point is, these don't have counters, meaning you can't defend yourself against them, like, at all. Now I'm gonna bring up OP items with counters. First off, you know, you got the Nitro Fist, you got the Thunderbolt item, you got items now like the Crypto Dog, and all these items have counters. For the Zeus's Thunderbolt, you just run, you don't sit there and box up. Same thing with the Nitro Fist, you don't box up for that. You just run. It's very simple logic. I've even played back then. I would know this. So, these items were not OP, and in fact, are helpful. Very helpful for people on, you know, 60 ping, people who can't run a good FPS. Here's a little fun fact for you. You can't really play competitive on console. Why? At least the lower gen ones. I don't know about the new gen ones, but the old gen ones, they run at 60 ping, and you're getting put with PC players who, you know, if you look at my PC, it's got 120 FPS, I got like 26 ping, you can see this on the gameplay now. It runs better on PC. Fortnite runs better on PC. Some people even move locations just to get better ping, which is kind of stupid. And people will argue on Twitter and say, no, that just means they're committed to competitive. No, you shouldn't have to do that. If you want to go pro, it should be about skill, not the amount of ping you get. You can even run into games, right? You ever feel like you run into somebody who's like too fast and, you know, you can't keep up with them and they're able to break in your box easily even though you're holding the wall? Well, that's because they have better ping. And, you know, when you try to break in their box and get in their walls, you can't. Even with performing, you know, a ramp technique I had to learn sometimes, it doesn't work. Because they have better ping. And the system sucks. And what did the Nitro Fist do? They allowed you to get into the box, no matter whose ping was better. That's the funny thing. That was the best part about them. Unfortunately, competitive complained and ruined that for everybody. Now, I don't know if the Lightning Bolt could do that, but I'm pretty sure it originally could break builds and stuff, but man, these wacky items can actually be a great help. Even the Bass Boost gauntlets, before they stupidly got nerfed recently, were so good, bro. They were so fun. You could knock players out of their builds, and it was so fun. Like, it felt like a good Fortnite feature, so people aren't just boxed up all the time. You know, there were some issues with the Bass Boost gauntlets, like, for example, you could, like, hide in the sky with them. That was more of an unintended bug than an actual feature. That needed to be changed, but the damage on it did not. In fact, that would have been so fun to watch in competitive. The other thing is, competitive matches are more fun when you see casual features in them. Like, say one season Epic doesn't nerf anything, and they add a bunch of cool items. What if they just did a whole season where there were no guns, and it was just powers, right? You had the Dragon Ball Mythic, the Deku Smash Mythic, you had all those, like, different powers. That would actually be fun to watch. You know what isn't fun to watch? People just boxed up, and it's just who has the better FPS battle. Unless they're all in the same, like, arena area, like the Pro-Am, where they essentially, everyone was on the same ping, so it was more just skill. Who has the better skill, which it should be like that, but unfortunately, competitive isn't like that. It's about who has the better ping. You know, there's people with, like, 0 ping, 1000 FPS, and they can just dominate the entire lobby simply because they have the better internet. Which, yeah, of course, you can't play the game on a 1000 ping and 1 FPS. Obviously, I'm not saying that, but I'm pretty sure someone who's at least running my frames or at least 60 FPS should be able to compete in competitive, and everyone should be able to break into each other's boxes no matter what circumstance it is. Even if they're holding the wall, you should have a chance to get in and actually fight someone. This has been an issue for years, and I'm pretty sure Epic sees this, but every time they introduce a change that helps with this, the Nitro Fists, the Bass Boost Gauntlets, these items are actually good and help with this issue. But you know what happens each time Epic introduces something like this? Competitive cries like babies on Twitter, leading to Epic changing them, making it so there's no possible counter for builds. That's the simple core idea here. Builds need counters. Building needs a counter. Otherwise, it's OP for everybody, okay? And I don't care, you can argue, you know, Fortnite is supposed to be a building game. Yes, it is, but all OP features I can consider building OP. Hell, I think the pump shotgun's OP. And you know what's even more OP? Someone who's running 1000 FPS, 0 ping, getting into your box, and immediately, within like 2 seconds, you don't even see it happen. And they're already using a pump to one-shot you. And you can go into a game yourself. Do a little test. Go on your console, or if you're on PC, just put your FPS to like 30 or 60. Or, you know, if you can, go on mobile too. Try to run a few ranked reload games in Unreal lobbies. See what happens. You're not going to be able to compete with anyone in there. Even if you're someone like me, who's on a good PC, you're still going to run into people who are running on god ping. And will just be able to get into your box no matter, you could be holding the wall, and someone will, and then get into your box. But when you try to spray into their box, you can't get in, because they're on god ping. And that's why I haven't been playing competitive. It's just unfair, it's an unfair system, it's really demotivating. So, you know, I haven't really played competitive in a long time. And this stuff frustrates me, because it happens time and time again. It's happened this season too. Competitive didn't know how to adapt to the Bass Boost Gauntlets. You know, here's a little tip for competitive. Whenever there's an OP item, how about you use it instead of just fighting it? Maybe you'd win more. Maybe you wouldn't have to go on Twitter and whine about it. You know, some stuff is understandable. Like I said, Infinity Blade, that was a bit annoying, because there's no counters. Nitro Fist did not need to be nerfed. All you had to do is edit the wall outwards, build some more, or get out of that area. Or the Bass Boost Gauntlets. Play the low ground, or pick one up yourself and use it. Because, low-key, you could just walk around the map and find some of them. They're so easy to find. Just go in one of the Hero, Utopia City, any of these areas, you would find one. And you would have one for yourself. It's not that hard to do. Learn the meta. Don't stick with the same crap you've known, okay? It changes each season. It's supposed to change. This game is supposed to change. Fortnite is built on the idea change. Sometimes we might not like it. Sometimes we'll like it. But that's the beauty of Fortnite. And it brings me to the point that Epic listens to competitive too much. And this is going to be the major point here, okay? Every time they complain and Epic listens to competitive, it ruins everything for a majority of the player base. Because a majority of the player base is casual, not competitive. And when they listen to casuals more, it makes the gameplay more fun, and it actually makes casuals think, hey, maybe I can actually compete this time in competitive. And then you get more competitive players. And instead of the same old people who think, you know what, AR pump, edit the wall, that's the meta. There needs to be changes here, because the game, it's not only more fun to watch, it's more fun to play. Because would you rather, right? Would you rather have every single tournament, every single season, just be a spray into the wall, pump AR fight? Would you want to watch that every single time? Or would you rather watch someone, you know, have a Dragon Ball mythic, see all these people with cool superpowers that are all unique? I feel like that would be more fun to watch, but that could just be me. And, you know, you might be saying, play another game, play Marvel Rivals or another game, but you gotta realize something. Like I said, Fortnite is built on change and innovation. Now this part is the crazy part, because you gotta realize something. Fortnite is the first battle royale to have building. PUBG did not have building. A lot of these other, I don't know any other battle royales, but I know for a fact Fortnite was the first to have building. You gotta realize that's the beauty of Fortnite. It can change. They can add cool powers. They're all OP. I would consider building to be OP. Are we just gonna outright remove building because some players know how to use building? And or should I say, as these competitive players say, just get good at the game? Why don't we casuals just say every single time a competitive player complains about a new item, just get good? You know, because if you think about it, no item is technically bad. Even OP items. Even though I said, you know, there are some items that really shouldn't have been in the game, like the Infinity Blade, but there are items that are OP. But they're only OP if you're not using them. If you're using them, then they're not bad, because you're the one in control of it, okay? How about, instead of complaining about the items, how about we learn how they work? And actually use them, instead of just whining and complaining that you got killed by them. It's like learning how to build. You complain about how people are cranking 90s on you. How about we learn how to crank 90s? Now, there's some stuff we can't do, like I mentioned, like edit really, really fast on high ping. You can't do that. But I'm just saying, there's something we can do to solve this without having Epic ruin the whole season for everybody. I'm just trying to say, how about instead of just immediately complaining about an item day 1 of the season and then having Epic nerf it a few days later, we give it at least a week. And if the item is OP and has no counters, then maybe there's a problem. Maybe we don't like the item. But if you discovered there's actual counters to it, and it's just a little bit OP, you know, it can get into your box, you know, that's fine. Just use the counters to counter the item. Hey, maybe ask Epic to increase the counters, because maybe the counter isn't powerful enough. Like for the Bass Boost gauntlets, why don't they just add like a shield that can block the impact of the Bass Boost? They can also add items. You guys can request items, and they might add them. But anyways, guys, the point was that Epic, listen, stop listening to competitive, at least right now. At least till everybody matures and everybody isn't whining about an item. At least, you know, hear the casuals out too. Don't just listen to the competitive the entire time. Listen to casuals more, because that's what makes this game good. We had peak seasons like Chapter 2 Season 7, because there's a lot of good items in there that weren't getting nerfed. Yes, the UFOs got nerfed, but those were actually OP. The gravity gun didn't really get nerfed until later in the season when someone found an exploit with a vault door. Even Lawless, the Scorpion Mythic didn't get nerfed, and you could actually break into someone's box. I really respect Epic for not nerfing that, because that was fun. We need more things like that. But anyways, guys, that was my video. You may not agree with me. We can have opinions, so if you have any counters to my opinion, please tell me. And subscribe to the channel if you enjoyed this video. Hit the like button, and I'll see you guys next time. Hopefully we can talk more about positive things next time. Anyways, Jonesy is out.